Get NFL Sunday Ticket at its lowest price ever and watch every game every Sunday. Take your NFL experience to even greater heights with NFL Sunday Ticket Deluxe, which gives you Red Zone, bringing you the final yards from around the league along with minute-to-minute NFL fantasy updates. Call us at 601-8992 to sign up today.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into NB12. Coming up tonight in news, a disciplinary hearing into Cuban abuse allegations gets underway. Court stenographers stage a sick-out. Concerns mount over a multi-million-dollar Bimini resort. Plus, the police force band celebrates 120 years. We've got those stories and so much more tonight. I'm Vonique Toot, and NB12 starts now. Top of the news tonight, a fifth Marine was charged this morning, along with 4 Royal Bahamas Defense Force officers, accused of abusing a group of Cuban detainees who attempted to escape from the detention center back in May. Attorney Wayne Monroe represents the 5 Marines who appeared before the captain at Coral Harbor charged with causing harm and causing a wound. The petty officer who was in command at the detention center at the time of the alleged incident was charged with a service offense. Christina McNeil has the latest on that disciplinary hearing in this report.
No evidence was submitted during the short arraignment, and the matter was adjourned to an unspecified date. However, attorney Wayne Monroe tells our news team he is disappointed with what has happened so far. The hearing on the Defense Force's Coral Harbor base is being kept private. Monroe says the hearings ought to be public so that Bahamians can see what is happening to the soldiers the country employs. National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage last week told reporters that the hearings would be private to avoid the publication of matters that may compromise national security. Nottage added that 3 independent observers would be present during the hearing to assure the public that proceedings are transparent and just. However, during today's hearing, Monroe said he did not see either of the 3 independent observers or a camera to record the proceedings. Monroe says if this is what can happen to a group of Marines as a result of pressure from a small group in the United States, he wonders what would happen if the U.S. government was applying pressure. He says his clients feel demoralized. Yesterday, Monroe told the Nassau Guardian his clients had no confidence that the RBDF Commodore or the Minister of National Security would stand behind them if they used their firearms during the escape attempt at the facility.
Now, Nottage was reluctant to speak to the media due to the current hearing. However, he said he was pleased to learn the Marines chose not to use their firearms during that escape attempt.
The persons in the detention center are detainees, and there are international and other regulations and protocols on how you deal with them. I am very happy that they acted in that instance in the way that they did, and I would not have expected them to use live firearms in such a situation.
The hearing begins as government awaits the results of a review of the administration and management of the detention center. Nottage says the goal of the inquiry is to ensure that the facility is properly managed in accordance with international standards and protocols.
We can have the matter investigated. We can have the inquiry done, because what we want to do is to ensure the Defense Force is run consistently with international regulations, that we have the right mix of persons in place to administer it and to manage it, and that we minimize any future attempts either at escape or having to deal with such matters.
That review is set to begin shortly. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.
Nearly 1 month after police officers in New Providence were placed on 12-hour shifts, the National Security Minister says he is very pleased with the impact they are having in many communities, especially those considered crime hotspots.
Just hoping that we can sustain this, because as you know, with officers working 12-hour shifts, it becomes quite difficult for them to do this for a prolonged period. But we want to establish a culture in our communities now of the presence of the police officers. I want the bad boys to expect them to be everywhere.
Nottage also noted that the deployment of Defense Force officers to assist the police force has been extremely helpful in the fight against crime. As for police officers' 12-hour shift system, Nottage said he expects it to continue for some time. And operations at the South Street Magistrates Court complex were shut down today after the majority of stenographers staged a sick-out. Of the 13 permanent and pensionable and 20 contracted stenographers, we understand only 3 of them reported to work today. They declined an on-camera interview but told NB12 they decided to take a stand after officials failed to address their many concerns. Those workers say they are overworked, understaffed, and underpaid, with some court reporters making as little as $1,600 a month despite their qualifications. Additionally, most of them are not regularized, and they're not sure if they'll have jobs where their contracts expire in September 2014. Other concerns include insufficient and, in some cases, malfunctioning equipment. Court reporters are forced to use their personal laptops in court. They haven't been paid on time for the past 3 months, and they say they are often bashed by the media because their heavy workload prevents them from finishing court transcripts in a timely manner. President of the Bahamas Public Service Union, John Pinder, says he plans to speak with the Attorney General on their behalf. A newly minted chapter of the Bahamas Waterkeeper Alliance is calling for government and developers of Resorts World Bimini to release more facts about that multi-million-dollar and multi-phased project. The Bimini chapter of the international group insists the project could be hazardous to the environment and is now asking for environmental reports to be released. Jasmine Bonamy has more in this report.
A newly formed environmental group is asking for more transparency with the multi-million-dollar Bimini project, insisting that important reports and permits have not been cleared and released to the public. The Bahamas received official waterkeeper status nearly 6 months ago, and a Bimini branch was established in recent weeks, with Joseph Darville being elected as president. Waterkeeper is an international environmental organization known to be a watchdog for the world's waters. During a press conference this morning, Darville revealed that gaining more information about the Bimini Bay project is of top priority as major work continues to be carried out without enough clarity on how the project will impact the waters surrounding Bimini.
There seems to be no rhyme or reason to the foolishness that they're going on in that particular island. And so someone has to be held accountable. And I call upon the Prime Minister, Perry Christie, come out and say what is happening. This is our land. That's our island. I live in Grand Bahama, but I belong to Nassau, Long Island, Bimini, Andros. Every single island in the Bahamas which is not already inhabited in terms of the people who live on different places. It is Crown land. It belongs to me. It belongs to you. And we need to know what is being done with it.
A major concern for the group is the construction of a 1,000-foot pier that will accommodate passengers from the Bimini Superfast ferry. During a press statement released last week, Resorts World officials said the company will work very closely with the Ministry of Environment, Best Commission, and other relevant government agencies to ensure that best practices are followed and to ensure minimal impact on the surrounding environment. But Darville and environmental lawyer Romuald Ferreira says it must be more than just a statement, and the facts should be revealed in an environmental impact assessment. Ferreira says that report has not been distributed to Bimini stakeholders, and they are questioning why that has not happened.
What we're saying is we still don't have one. What we're saying is you don't have one. What we're saying is none of the residents of Bimini have ever seen one. Bahamas National Trust has been asking for it, they don't have one. Save the Bays has been asking for it, they don't have one. Bimini Blue Coalition has asked for it, and they don't have one. All this does is weaken the credibility of the document because nobody has it and nobody can see it. It may contain nothing to surprise us, but we haven't seen it. And it's not adhering to the principles by which it should.
Our news team spoke to Environment Minister Ken Dorsett, who confirmed today that there is an EIA for the project, but it has not been finalized and officials are still in talks with the developers. Dorsett said no determination has been made on whether the EIA will be released to the public, but it's something the government is considering. But waterkeeper officials say they are concerned about the works being carried out without the release of an EIA.
We need to examine these issues prior to construction, not this, oops, sorry, and then we examine the issue. And that's really why this is so exciting.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
Still to come, why the Christian Council president doesn't believe a constitutional referendum will happen this year.
What it is we are voting for. And right now we don't know. The Haymans do not know what we're going to be voting for.
And a little later, the police force band celebrates a major milestone. So stay with us.